What is going on, everybody? What is going on? We get a round of applause for today. It is Monday, April the 1st, 2024, and welcome back to another HBCU Tonight midday special. Uh, this is being powered to you by HBCU Overdrive. Make sure that you like, comment, share, um, you know, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Become a member. You want to become a member, all you have to do is just hit that join button and let you know what's going on with the channel. But we got a good one for today. But before we get into all that, gonna run the commercials, let everybody know what's going on as far as with the channel, and get a word from our sponsor, and then we'll be here with our guest. It's your boy Doc Holiday. Become a subscriber on HBCU Overdrive on YouTube, and you can follow me on all social media platforms at HBCU_Overdrive on Twitter and Instagram. You can catch me on TikTok at Holiday1925 and on Facebook under my real name, David E. Smith Douglas. Also, when you become an exclusive family member, you get all the membership perks. You get all the exclusive members only videos, early access to new videos, member shoutouts, and members only live chats. And also, you can get birthday shoutouts on here and win member when you become a subscriber. You can also hit the donation to the Cash App at HBCU Overdrive. You can hit the PayPal, David Smith 1925, and you can hit the Zelle, David E. Smith 30 at gmail.com. Remember, all proceeds go towards the channel, not the. Yo, it's your boy Doc Holiday with HBCU Overdrive, and I am proud to sponsor Merch Sports. Check out his new line of collection, the Black College Football Fan Club collection. It's basically designed to show support and give respect to the rich history and tradition of black college football. And as you already know, the best college players had to play at HBCUs before integration. So go ahead and check it out over at shopmerchsports.com. Merch Sports. Merch for the sports enthusiasts. All right, we are back. And so I am going to bring up my guest in just a few. But before we do that, let me just go ahead and get the rundown. Of who we about to bring up, y'all. Who we are about to bring up. Let me get my little notes right here for today. So, if you don't know this person I'm bringing up, she is one of 3 female commissioners in sports, in collegiate sports, collegiate athletics. She's also the only female commissioner in NAIA program. So, as always, let me go ahead and let y'all know who I'm bringing up, and y'all give a overdrive family, give a round of applause to Dr. KiKi Baker Barnes. So that's the headshot we got right there, but I'm about to bring her up right now, y'all. How you doing? Good morning.
Hey, how are you? I like the applause.
I'm doing all right. I'm trying to make sure I'm up. I've been up since about 8 o'clock this morning to make sure everything was straight and settled before I go on live. So got to do
Okay.
last minute, just last minute everything around here. But
Yeah.
how was your Easter? First of all, let's get that.
He got up. No. Hey, listen, it was a good Easter. I'm actually in Minden, Louisiana. That's my hometown. So
Okay.
I was home for Easter. I don't think I've been home for Easter in years. So it was a good Easter. Got a chance to be with my family, and It was great. So I can't complain, you know. Now today we on April Fool's Day and hoping people not gonna be cutting up all day.
Oh, they not already cut it up. They already cut up. I woke up this morning. Somebody put out a presser for Texas high school football that yeah, Duncanville's gonna be playing in Barrow, Alaska on September the 31st. I was like, you know what, y'all be chill out with that. Chill out with that. And I was
Starting
like,
early.
you start early. I'm like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. It almost got me to believe it, but then I'm like, 31st, yeah. September the 31st, yeah. I don't even want to hear
They
about
ain't
that.
even on September 31st, like literally.
No, literally, there's none. Um, so how you in your second full time installment of as the commissioner? How has it been
It's
in
been
that
good.
position?
Yeah, it's been good. I told someone one time. So when I started out at Dillard, I was athletic director and head women's basketball coach, and I did not, I would say, have as much success as I would have liked to have had as a
Mm-hmm.
basketball coach. And I remember having this moment after maybe in my fifth year. And for those who are your followers and new, I took over that program right after Hurricane Katrina. So
Wow.
no facility. The sports was, we had cut the sports department in half. We only had three sports. Like it was a really tough time. So that the challenge was great, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
there was this moment where I remember, I think maybe around year 6 or 7 where I felt like I was just turning circles. We weren't moving forward. We weren't going anywhere. We were just kind of marking time. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember saying to myself, if I just focus on one of these, I know we can move forward, but I'm going to have to decide. Like I can't continue to do both. And I opted to continue on as an administrator versus a coach. And it
Mm-hmm.
was at the point that I made that decision, that's when we took off. Like, because I was focused, all my energy was now focused on moving the department forward and doing the things, recruiting the right team members, getting the right people in place to help us build that program. And so I feel the same way now that I'm 2 years in full time. I was an interim commissioner for 3 years while I was also still athletic director. And
Wow.
so the conference was basically marking time. We weren't really going forward. We weren't going backward. We were just standing still. And at the time that I decided it was time to transition, I remember thinking, man, what would it look like if I really just give it
Took it
everything
over.
I got?
Right. Took it over
Yeah.
full time.
Yeah. And there you see.
All right. And let's get into it. So for those who do not know, what is the GCAC? And the GCAC is the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. Let everybody know about this conference, how long it's been going,
Yeah.
and what are some things that you're looking forward to as far as for the conference going into the near future.
Yeah. Thanks so much. The Gulf Coast Athletic Conference has been in existence for 43 years. We began in 1981. Um, we did not start out as an HBCU conference. We
Mm,
started out as a conference with members in the Gulf Coast states, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama.
wow.
There were four founding members. I mean, there were three founding members of this conference that were HBCUs. Tougaloo College, Dillard University, and Xavier University were the founding members of this conference, along
Mm-hmm.
with some other PWIs. Eventually, we added Southern University in New Orleans around in somewhere in the 90s, and had been operating again as just schools right there in the Gulf Coast. Well, after Hurricane Katrina hit, the HBCUs in the conference at the time, Dillard, Xavier, Tougaloo, and Suno were having a much rougher time coming back.
Right.
And at the same time, the NAIA was going through a change in its governance structure and how we were going to get to national championships. There was a regional model that we used that was similar to the NCAA, where you go to regions and then you go to nationals. Well, they decided to pass some legislation where it would say you would grow directly from your conference to your national championship, no
Right.
regionals. Like you win your conference, you go on to nationals. Well, when that happened, there's a minimum number of sports that you have to be able to qualify for the automatic bid. Well,
Mm-hmm.
because the HBCUs, most of us were still struggling and we hadn't brought all our sports back. We had three sports. There were schools that had 11 and 12 sports. And they were like, well, we want to be able to qualify directly to championships in all of our sports. And if you all aren't going to add those sports, we've got to look elsewhere. So in 2009, we had six members leave the conference,
Okay.
leaving the four HBCUs. I would say 2009, 2010 was the year that kind of where we started operating as a group of HBCUs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's really, I want you to, a group of HBCUs.
Right.
So in the NAIA, in order to be an affiliated conference, you have to have six members. Well, now we're down to four and we might not survive. I got voted in as the president that year to lead the conference at that time. And so got to work. So we were able to recruit Philander Smith, Fisk University, and Edward Waters. That got us to seven. And we were trying to keep this thing moving. And so from 2010 all the way up until 2019, we have been operating as this group of HBCUs. And so for those who are listening, our members are at the time were Dillard University,
Mm-hmm.
Edward Waters University, Fisk University, Philander Smith University, Southern University at New Orleans, Xavier University, Tougaloo. Those are our members. Then
Okay.
we eventually brought on Russ College, Oakwood University, now Wiley University. And so we've gotten to this point now where we're we've been operating as HBCUs for over 10 years, but now we're feeling like, well, nobody talks about us. You hear about the
Mm-hmm.
SWAC, you hear about the MEAC, CIAA, SIAC, and it's like, hey, we over here at the NAIA.
Right.
And so when I took over in 2019 to be interim commissioner, one of the questions we were grappling with was, who do we want to be?
Mm-hmm.
We've been operating in this space all this time, but we've never really owned it. What would it look like if we decided to move forward as a conference, like, and really step into the space and be the fifth HBCU conference?
Right.
And so there was a lot of conversation, right, back and forth. And when I took over full time on June 1, that was number one goal. We need to answer this question first before we can do anything else. Is this who we want to be? And do we really want to own this space? Because if we do, we need to be aggressive in that space. And so we spent the last couple of years working with the company to talk about what it would look like for us to own our space. We started saying things like, we're the NAIA's only HBCU conference. Because the first thing people would say was like, well, y'all in the NCAA? No. Matter of fact, the NAIA was the first institution, the first athletic association to integrate. It wasn't the NCAA, it was the NAIA.
Right.
That's where all the HBCUs were competing before the shift.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started saying we're the NAIA's only HBCU conference. And then I would name us out. We're in 6 states, at least initially. We're in 6 states, and that's where we are. But now, and the other thing was, think about it: Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama. Those are our 3 states. But now we've got Wiley in Texas. We've
Mm-hmm.
got Fisk in Tennessee, Philander Smith in Arkansas. Like, we're not a conference of Gulf Coast states and Gulf Coast schools anymore.
Right.
So we need our name to be in alignment with who we are and give us the opportunity maybe to even expand even further. And so after a whole bunch of talking and different focus groups, bringing people together, um, we landed on HBCU Athletic Conference, and we're really excited to share that on July 1, we will transition from Gulf Coast Athletic Conference as our name to the HBCU Athletic Conference.
All right. Yeah, and so I want to get into that. Um let's talk about that. So you kind of explained the reason, your main reason for rebranding, because you're not you're not truly Gulf Coast, uh, a Gulf Coast conference anymore, because of the simple fact that your footprint is now in Arkansas, Texas, and
Tennessee.
Tennessee. So now
Hmm.
and then you have uh, now you're getting ready to expand again, um, going into South Carolina and going into Ohio.
Yes,
So you got
correct.
so you're bringing back Stillman is coming back into the conference, if I'm not mistaken, or
So
did they?
Stillman will be a new member into the conference.
Okay,
Voorhees is coming back. They were
okay,
one of our members. 2013 was when they initially joined us. So Stillman, Voorhees is coming back. Stillman and Wilberforce are new members to
new
the
members,
conference.
and then also you're the only conference, NAIA, NCAA, to have a university as a member that is not a part of the mainland of the United States. We're talking about
Yes,
University of Virgin
University of
Islands.
Virgin Islands. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a funny joke about that. So let me tell y'all about this. So June 1, 2022, I took the job full time, right? So
Mm-hmm.
2022 was also when Wakanda Forever dropped. And
Right.
so Disney was doing all of their promotions. We were the only HBCU conference that got a chance to do an official activation like movie screening
Mm-hmm.
for as a conference, like an athletic conference. We
Wow.
hosted a screening like the 2 or 3 days before it hit. So it was beautiful. We invited the kings and the queens of our different schools, and it was just a great opportunity to celebrate who we were. And then one of the things that I was sharing was I was like, well, I felt like Wakanda's story was our story. Like we were this hidden gem. People didn't really know about us, but when you look at our institutions, we had been really doing the work. We have very prominent graduates, but people don't necessarily know about us. So
Mm-hmm.
Wakanda Forever was this kind of opportunity now for the world to see like this greatness. And I felt like, well, that's exactly where we are right now. And
Right.
so in this process, a month before that happened, we had just and announced that we were going to be adding the University of Virgin Islands. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I have not gone to University of Virgin Islands campus yet. So when I think about islands, I think about beaches,
Mm-hmm.
everything's flat. So I fly to the Virgin Islands for the press conference. And when you fly into the Virgin Islands, first of all, the runway is right off the water, and you're flying onto the water, and on the left you see mountains, okay?
Right.
And on the right there is a resort. And so on the left, the University of Virgin Islands is up in the mountains. So I'm
Wow.
like, oh my gosh. And at the top point of their campus, you can see the island of Puerto Rico. Like it is the most
Okay.
beautiful thing. Y'all got to go visit. Let me tell y'all something. If you ever get a chance to go visit Virgin Islands, it is the most beautiful thing you ever want to see. But I remember saying to everybody, we got our Jabari tribe now. We got the mountains, we got everything. We got
Right.
everything. We are complete now. So the GCAC, as we transition to HBCUAC, will be 13 members in 8
Mm-hmm.
states and 1 US territory.
Right.
It will be the largest that this conference membership has ever been in its history.
Mm-hmm. So the another question that I have is pertaining to, as far as the memberships go and the rebranding. Um, when you look at the landscape of our HBCU conferences, what were some of the things that you took away from the two major conferences in NCAA, and what did you take away from the two Division two conferences that we have?
Well, I would say let me say this. So when I had an opportunity to present strategic plan to my council of presidents, I said to them, I want us to take a look at what the CIAA has done. The CIAA is, when you look at their membership, they're
Mm-hmm.
same size institutions. Our institutions are in other spaces together. UNCF, United Negro College Fund. Our presidents walk in spaces together. They either UNCF or Thurgood, but we're small, mostly small private schools. I only have two public schools, Suno and Virgin Islands. And so when I'm looking at CIAA, I'm like, same makeup, about the same size. Now they do have football, but football isn't what I would say their biggest focus. It's the basketball championship.
Right.
They have done a masterful job with that basketball championship and how they built that asset into one that really helps to amplify their school and institutional brands, as well as the conference, and be able to attract money. Like I can't remember what the last deal they did with Baltimore, but it was in the millions. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, and so when we look at this, the number one goal that the presidents gave to me is I gotta find other revenue streams.
Right.
Up until we signed our media rights deal, our only revenue stream was our membership dues. There was no other money coming
Hmm.
into the conference.
And
It's
that's
one of the
another.
reasons. Yeah,
Yeah, that was another thing I was about to ask you too. The Even with the rebranding of the conference, you signed. I remember 2 years ago you did sign the deal with
yep,
HBCU Plus. Uh,
yeah.
um, what were some of the parameters as far as signing that deal, as far as your media rights deal with HBCU Plus?
Yeah, I will say it was the game changer for us. Signing that deal helped give us, money for us to be able to get some team members in. And even though we don't have, so I'm the only full-time employee.
Right.
I do have independent contractors who work to help us do the work of putting on our championships. But I will say that having those team members has helped us to build out all the pieces that we need and continue to be able to build our value in the market.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have someone doing your social media and actively working with people like you on your platform who can help us amplify what we're doing. And Danny, our strategic communications director, has been the person that has spearheaded that and helped us to work very strategically in being visible in media. That was a part of this. Um, and so it's just all of those, without the funding, we wouldn't have been able to do it. Again, just I'm a full-time employee. Like I can't, one person can't get it all done. You've got to have a team, but you also have to be able to pay people, right? Even if it's not, again, even though we don't have a full staff like all the other conferences, I can say that the people that I have hired are my Avengers. They are very, very good at what they do, and they get it done. And so we've been able to really, really make things happen because we were able to get some funding. And then that helped us to be able to start doing other work to help get our first corporate partner, Hope Credit Union. They were the first to sign on with us to be our title sponsor for the basketball and baseball championship.
Right.
Um, I cannot understate the importance of corporate dollars, whether it's with a media rights deal, whether it's with sponsorships. Both getting that infusion of cash
Mm-hmm.
really helped us to start being able to move now in this direction. We had to bring a team in. Now, we're grateful. We people have given us family and friends discounts, and I'm very, very grateful for the people who have been kind to us, to help us move. But without having even that money that we got from those deals, we wouldn't have been able to get the family and friends discount. Because I mean, you
Right.
got to pay some.
Gotta
You
pay
got
something.
you got to put some on it. I got
Right.
5 on it. I mean,
Right. Right. Right.
so
You got to put. Let me put something on this thing right here. It's just
so
like
I
when you
would,
go. It's like when you go to church, and the pastor say, "Yeah, put something on it. Within your heart, put something on it." That's
whatever
what
your
I think.
heart can. Yes, and God will bless you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel we have been blessed,
Right.
again with these relationships. So all of those things have helped to inform us. And so back to kind of this conversation around who we were looking toward. What I said to the presidents was this: SWAC has football on lock. That's done.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have football anyway. But we're not talking about having football. People want to know if we're gonna start football. We're not starting football. That's not our lane. But basketball, we've always been good with basketball. We've had schools beat SWAC schools, Sunbelt schools, Southland schools. Like, we've done this, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we could replicate what the CIAA did with their conference on the East Coast, now in the Deep South, I believe there's a lane for us. And
Right.
that's not to say SWAC basketball or SEAC basketball isn't good. I'm just saying that people are really mobilized around football, and basketball is there, and it's kind of like it's cool, but it's not what the CIAA has done. And
Right.
so that is the space where there's an opportunity. So maybe if we can mobilize around this, if we can really figure out how we get in the game, we can work hard now to find a location. So one of the key things we've been working is trying to find the right place. Stillman wound up being our host this year,
Mm-hmm.
and Visit Tuscaloosa, the city's commission chamber group. They
Mm-hmm.
were very, 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 very good. They hosted very well. The tournament went extremely well, and I believe that we have a great opportunity to grow our championship potentially in Tuscaloosa. We'll see. But I will say that they did extremely well. And so we have been signing 1-year deals, taking our basketball championship around because we're trying to find the
That
right
right
home.
spot. Right.
Yes, yes, because that's another revenue opportunity. It went extremely well. We were in Jackson last year. We just didn't get the support that we felt like we would have liked, maybe from the larger, like the city itself. We were hoping to see a little bit more support there. But I still think Jackson still could be a good place if we could work it out with Tulu being there, because that's where we hosted. But I will say that Stillman did an outstanding job. Visit Tuscaloosa did an outstanding job. And we're in the process now of trying to figure out if potentially we could do maybe a couple more years there and see how we can build it. But
Mm-hmm.
all of these are part of a strategy to, the one, get us in a place where our championships now can make money.
Right.
Because we got to make money.
Gotta make
Like,
money.
I can't hire people if we're not bringing in revenue.
That's
Anybody who
correct.
does business understand this is how it works. So the championships for the conference have to make money. So that's where we are. The other part of this was, you asked me, and the first question you asked me, what is the GCAC? Who is the GCAC? That was the other thing. I'll be in spaces with people, and they'll say, what is that? I mean, what? What is that? What do you mean, what? You mean, who are we? So there
And
was
I meant
all
to
this.
say, and I meant to add, I meant to kind of reword it to say who is the GCAC. But
No, you're
some people.
fine.
Okay.
What you did is what I was always getting. And that was the other impetus behind why we really need to figure out our name. People be trying to figure out, well, what is that? Y'all NCAA, and the question, what is it? And then, is it in the NCAA? And so there were those two things that people just seemed to be very confused. And when I would name my schools, now people knew my institutions.
Right.
But they didn't know us as a collective in the way people know the schools and the SWAC, and the MEAC and these other conferences. So I was like, y'all, we gotta get in the game. Like, we gotta figure out what we gotta do. We have to wrestle with this name and image,
Mm-hmm.
because that is going to be key to us being able to attract partners, and dollars. That was the other piece. Like, how do we become more attractive um, to these sponsors and these corporate partners? So we feel like we got that in the name. We really like the design. We feel like our colors are black and white. There's a reason why. Um, luxury, anything that's of a luxury and of a high standard of excellence, which our institutions carry, black is always the standard color, you
Right.
know. And so part of the brand, I remember saying, y'all, I was like, the one thing about black people and our culture is we gonna be fly and we gonna be fresh.
We're gonna be flying fresh.
Now, I didn't say we was gonna spend a lot of money to do it. That's not what I said. I want to be
It is.
clear.
It is what it is.
Hey, but what I will say is we know how to make it happen. We know how to make ourselves look good. I didn't even realize I was poor when I was grew up because I always stepped out short. I didn't realize I was poor till I got my first job, and I was like, my mama was affording, but I always looked good, and things fit right, and we showed up well, and we had good character, and so the way we show up in the marketplace matters if you want to compete. So you
That's
got to
correct.
look good. So our the way we wanted the new brand to feel was like it's gotta be fresh.
Right.
That was really really important, and I kept saying to them like, listen, no, I don't want no stars and no banners. Like that's what everybody else got. Like we need to come in something. We need to come in and disrupt the market in a way that people are like, ah. I told somebody I know I will have won if I see people wearing our logo at other
Hmm.
HBCU stuff. That's when I know we've won.
Right. Right. And I will be the first to say, bring on the merch because I will wear it and I will represent it on my show
All
uh,
right, I got you,
all
Doc.
day,
I
every
got
day.
you.
Um, so, and I want to give a shout out to Danielle. Right. You know what I'm saying? Be backwater channels. I was like, hey, I need to. Is it by any chance I could get to talk to your boss on my show? And she's like, let me see. Let me see. Let me see what she got to say. And then she came back to me, I think about 20 minutes later, she's like, she's down for it. I was like, okay, cool. I'm in the game now. I done
We're
I
in the
done
game, baby.
I done this, and I'm like, you know what? This is my second time interviewing commissioner because I actually for SWAC Media Day last summer, I actually interviewed Dr. McClellan.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
and he's a cool guy, and I'm like, yes, I got another commissioner coming on to the show. Um, so you have this for this month. You have your track and field championship in Shreveport, uh,
Yes.
and the following weekend you have your baseball championships in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
and for those who, as far as for most of my supporters are in Jackson, is it's going to be at Smith Wills Stadium. If is that correct?
In
The
Jackson,
baseball
yes.
in Jackson. Okay.
At the Hank Aaron Sports Academy.
Okay. See now I gotta go check it out for real. I
Yes,
really I
yes,
really gotta
yes,
go check it out for real. Um,
yes.
so what are some things that you're looking for as far as, especially when it comes to the baseball championship? What are some things you're looking for as far as like title sponsors, volunteers, anything like that?
So our partner, Hank Aaron Sports Academy, and the CEO Tim Bennett, they are managing the event. So from volunteer standpoint, I feel like we're in a good place. From a corporate standpoint, we're still looking for partners. If anyone's interested, they can email my Alvin Franklin, who is the person that does corporate partners from us at revenue at gcaconf.com. He's the person that's kind of managing those pieces for us. But we would love to have some in-game sponsors for the championship. We're hopefully looking to get kids out. So the other thing is connecting with the community so they can bring the kids out to check out the student athletes. We're hoping that we may be able to. We're talking through something right now with the Sports Academy about being able to do some sort of like a little clinic with the college student athletes and some local kids. It hasn't been confirmed, but we are trying to pull that off because it's not just about having the event. Like we really want to engage in the communities where we're going to be. Where we'll be coming to bring our championships. So we're hoping to be able to do some things like that. So I think I don't know what my ticket price is off the top of my head, but if you go to www.gcaconf.com, there's a pop up. You can click, it'll take you right to the basketball tournament central page and everything you need to know, tickets, all those things are there. But mobilizing the community, I will say, um, is where I see the biggest challenge. And
Mhm.
I would say this is with all of the championships and things that we're trying to work through with institutions and the sports commissions or convention bureaus that we're working with, getting people in the stands and getting to come out and support the teams is where I would say our biggest challenge is. So if you're listening and you have connections with people who work with groups and want to do group tickets for kids, we'd love to get a chance to see you all come out and support our student athletes. I mean, I will say in the sport of baseball, black men have been on a decline in baseball.
Right.
So the
Mhm.
conference bringing baseball back, that was a really big deal. We got some really big articles about our conference and us starting baseball programs back. So it's just going to be a great opportunity to see some great competition. Our winner goes directly to our national, so our winner goes to our national championship. I mean, gets a bid to our national tournament. So it's going to be a great championship.
Okay. I love baseball. Baseball was one of my first sports that I played. So
Okay,
I'm down for it. I will be down to call a game, whatever you want, whatever you need me to do in the capacity of the sports
we got you
conference.
on board.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I look if I'm not in Jackson, I'm doing all this. I can do all this from Dallas. This is where I'm
Understood.
from. This is my base. I do all this from Dallas, and um, I wouldn't mind. Like I said, I wouldn't mind going back to Jackson. Jackson is my second home, so I
Okay,
wouldn't mind.
okay,
I wouldn't mind going back down to Mississippi to be a part of a great baseball tournament. Um,
cool. Where'd you attend in Dallas? What high school?
I went to Cedar Hill.
Okay, okay, all
So
right,
I
all
went to
right.
Cedar Hill. I actually here's a funny story. So when I left eighth grade, I was supposed to go to Kimball High School, and I went there for about a couple of weeks,
I know Kimball.
and then my uncle was like, we got a new house built out in Cedar Hill, so that's where we went. We moved out there,
Okay,
and I finished my whole 4 years out at Cedar Hill.
wow. Yeah,
It
I
was
had some guys that played basketball was from Kimball when I went to South Plains College
what's
um
the name?
in Levelland. It was Ishmael Muhammad and there was
Ah,
another guy. They were from Kimball.
okay.
93 to 95.
Okay. So South Plains. So that means that was trying to figure out. So I don't. I'm trying to figure out if Jason Sasser he didn't go to JUCO route. I think he went straight to
Okay.
Texas Tech because
Okay.
he was from Kimball
I
also.
remember that name.
Mm-hmm.
He was at Tech. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cuz we was like 30 minutes from there, so we used to kind of,
Yeah. So like some people, Jason Sasser, and then
I remember the name.
Tony Battie was out there. He's from South Oak Cliff.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
so yeah, he was out there. And of course, Darvin Ham.
Starving.
Everybody remember.
I can't even, man, like I think about it all the time. I was like, we used to hang out with, like, I really sit
And
and think, I was like, wait a minute,
and
like we
now
used to
he
be hanging out with Darvin. Darvin is the Lakers, man.
Lakers head coach now.
Is that not crazy?
I thought about it, and so when I thought about it, I'm like Tony is back in Dallas. He serves him and his brother Derek. They serve as liaisons to South Oak Cliff High School.
Okay.
In fact, Tony's nephew is I forgot where he signed to, but he was the Class 5A tournament MVP this year
Okay.
for the state championship in basketball.
Okay.
So the lineage is still going out there. We got some great basketball
Crazy.
out here in
Yeah,
Dallas. Of
man.
course, in football, it's always great. As
Yeah.
long as you don't say that school that's directly next door to us, uh, that's green and gold, that whatever you want to call them, DeSoto,
I
or
have
the
some
school
kids
that's to
from
the other
DeSoto and Dillon.
or the other school that's to the west of us. That's Duncanville.
Duncanville. I was like, I don't know, is it Skyline or Duncanville? Which one?
Well, I love, well, it all runs in my family. Like my aunt and my cousin went to DeSoto. They graduated from there.
Okay.
Me and my cousin are the only ones in my family to graduate from Cedar Hill. His
Wow.
brother went to Red Oak. Had a couple of cousins went to Duncanville, but everybody in my family is either Lincoln High School, Roosevelt,
Oh, in
Scott
Lincoln.
Cliff, or Madison. So
Man, legendary
we got
school.
a whole lineage out there.
Yep.
And so, like I said, I'm down to I'm down to call a baseball game.
All
Uh,
right.
and then my guy Jeremiah, we both like I'm all sports, but he's baseball through and through. So, uh,
Oh yeah. Okay. I'm gonna tell Danny to follow up with y'all. Okay, Jeremiah, where you from?
he from Mississippi. He from Jackson,
Oh,
but he
you
live
in
at
you in Jackson?
he
Okay.
lives no he's from Jackson, but he lives here in Dallas with so
I'm gonna
he's
talk to
in
Danny
Dallas.
about that.
So
I'm
yeah,
gonna tell Danny. I'm gonna tell Danny to follow up with y'all.
okay. Um, Now, one thing I want to talk to you about, and I knew I should have asked. I should have asked her last month because that was women. It was Women's Month. Women's Month. That was
It was
your
History Month.
time. It was Women's History Month. That was your time. But to be one of only three female commissioners, and all three of y'all are
For
HBCU
the
commissioners,
HBCU conference. Yeah,
hmm and you're the only one in the NAIA.
there are
Uh,
two. There are two
two.
in the NAI.
Oh, okay.
I'm the only
So,
black woman. I'm the only black woman.
ah,
Yeah.
what goes into being a commissioner?
Man, I feel like my work is just relationship building and getting stuff done. I would say that right now I'm in the event business somewhat. Like the championship, we run the championships, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we're working with our partners to make sure we put on this great event. So I would say that's part of the work. Um, the other part of the work is being a brand ambassador for our institutions and for our conference. So I am the spokesperson. I'm the person talking to everybody who will talk to me about who we are, what our plan is, and where we're trying to go. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say being a brand ambassador is a part of the role of the commissioner. Um, and then the other side of this is strategy. I would say that the other part of my role is to understand clearly our goal and understand also the challenges. So I spend a lot of time what I would think is doing SWOT analysis. Here's what we do pretty good, but here are the weaknesses. This is where we not hitting the ball, like we're not getting it. Where are the
Mm-hmm.
opportunities, and then what are the threats to that? And then taking all of that information and having these different conversations. And I'm saying with a myriad of people, student, athletes, coaches, ADs, presidents, alumni at the schools that I wound up meeting, monitoring social media, like seeing what people in the atmosphere are talking about, corporate partners. Like it just there are all these different people who have a different perspective on what they see for us. And so taking all of that information in and then being able to pull it together and say, okay, here is the synergy
Mm-hmm.
on understanding all these pieces and a particular strategy or path that could potentially get us to our goal. And so that's the other part of the work. So I spend a lot of time, and I will say that as we're moving into this new thing, moving from GCAC to HBCU Athletic Conference, my role in being a strategist and being the brand ambassador, that role is increasing. Like I'm needing to be more external and spend more time with external partners and not so much as much with my internal partners.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I've got we have monthly meetings set up for all of our groups. Our ADs group, all of our coaches groups have monthly meetings, and the people that I have as my team members are kind of doing most of that. And I'm always available. Like if somebody got a question they want to call, they can just call me or send an email. But I will say that I think this next in this next part of the rollout and where we're going, really focusing in on the strategies where I spend a lot of time. And those are things that like nobody tells you to go to school to be a strategist. Like you never heard anybody say that, right?
Right.
You go to school and you say, I'm gonna be a TV person or I'm a
Mm-hmm.
broadcaster, or I'm gonna be a doctor. But what I'll say is, and when I'm thinking about young people who are in college, what is more important when you're thinking about career and what you want to do is what skills do you have
Right.
that can help you? Because think about this. And I remember telling someone when I graduated from college, we didn't have email. Oh Lord, now I'm dating myself. I didn't have an email address. I got into a workplace. We didn't have websites. We were still doing media guides by paper. Like you would write. When I was recruiting, I was handwriting letters.
Right.
Like I hand wrote notes. I went to the post office and I put them in the mail. And then I get into a job now that's transition. I remember when I got my first email, it was like, and what I'm supposed to do with this? Oh, I can
uh,
email them. I remember when I first got Yahoo Instant Messenger and I could talk to people like I never got no work done at the office. I had
that
downloaded
was
message,
me.
found all my friends. I'm just talking like not doing no work. Uh, but I remember all of these skills and things I had to start to learn now because what my degree had prepared me for now was obsolete.
Right.
And so what the question we have to think about when we get in these roles and we're thinking about what we want to become is what is the skill set required for the role?
Mm-hmm.
And what I'll say is I moved from a graduate assistant to a head women's basketball coach within 3 years. Southern University of Shreveport was my first head coaching job at 25.
Wow.
I became an athletic director at 31. 25, so 6 years later, I was an athletic director, but I had never had the title. I became a
Mm.
commissioner, but was never the title. So the question is, how does one blaze a trail, right? How do you get into these positions? You got to have a good skill set. And so what I'll
Mm-hmm.
say is, in all of my roles, I have to be an ambassador for when I was a coach, I was an ambassador for the institution, athletic director, ambassador, have to understand relationship building. In each one of those jobs, those are the skills that I have continued to perfect. And I'll take it back even further. As a student athlete, freshman year, I wound up getting selected to be on some presidential hostess, which means I was the person, I got selected. I went and did an interview. So I had to sit in the interview. I had to tell them about myself, and I had to impress these people enough for them to believe that I could be one of 12 young women that when they brought in big time people that the president was hosting, that I would be one of the people that they would call forward to be their guide or to take them on a tour of the campus or to make sure that these people were taken care of. I remember the men's basketball coach was like, all right, we got recruits coming. KiKi, I got free meals every weekend because I got to go with the coach
Right.
to host the recruit. Now I wasn't doing no funny business. I wasn't that kind of recruit. But I was a smart kid. I could show them, I was like, let me show you what you're gonna take if you come here. Here's all the people that you know. Like I started this as a student athlete, developing this ability to develop good relationships with
Mm-hmm.
people, to be easy to connect with. And so those skills that I developed have helped me with my career. And so it's interesting. Like I'm sitting up here like I didn't sign up to be no commissioner. I was supposed to be doing radio shows like you.
Right.
That's what I went to school for, Doc.
Journalism, broadcast journalism, mass communication.
Yes, I'm supposed to have a show and everything. That's what I went to school for. And then I wound up falling in love with coaching. But what I'll say is when I look at all of my roles, I'm doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do something over and over and over again, you get better and you get better and you get better at it. So honestly, I still feel like, man, just life is fun. I approach my leadership style in the way I approach coaching basketball. I see myself as the head coach. The people on my team they're like my teams. I'm the one that's providing motivation and strategy.
Right. So, and I know I should have asked this question earlier, but growing up in small town Minden, Louisiana, and then becoming athletic commissioner of the GCAC, tell us how growing up in Minden uh, made you to who you are now.
Man, well, I will say this. I got a chance to go celebrate. I had a pre-birthday early celebration with my classmates. We celebrated 30 years last year, and
Okay.
I think the class, like, we've been reinvigorated from that point on. It's like anytime we can get together, it's like let's get together. So this our last year of our 40s. And we all turned 49, and so they hosted a little get together, and I had the opportunity to go up and see some of my classmates, and we just kind of laughed. But what I'll say, growing up in a small town, um, like I would say that my city is fully responsible for the person that you see here. And what do I mean by that? There were people in my church. The ladies and gents who attended our church were our principals and our teachers at school.
Mm-hmm.
And there were expectations for how you showed up being from Minden. You know, you're from Minden. And I laugh because I think about this social media campaign. I'm from Minden. Of course I do. And I was like, and I remember being young where it was like, you're from Minden. This is who we are. This is your last name. This is who you are. And so there were these expectations that we would always exemplify excellence. It never was about money and what we had, what neighborhood you lived in. It
Right.
was about having good character. And so I would say that from my parents, my church family, and then my classmates, the people that I from sixth grade all the way to 12th grade had the opportunity to grow up with and develop with, there was a sense of pride about who we were being from the small town. And I think that's why we wound up being so good a basketball team. So we wound up going to state 3 years in a row. Like as sophomores, like we were like the sophomore phenoms. People like, where did these kids come from? And we used to wear the chip. Like we felt some kind of way. We always felt like, well, we the small town and people didn't want to put us on TV. They didn't want to talk about us as much because we were from Minden. So that we always had this chip. So I would say my drive and that competitiveness, I think, came from the fact that when you feel like people always looking over you and you
Mm-hmm.
got something to prove, you I feel like I that was a part of that. And then we were all individually really good. So within our teams, we were extremely competitive against each other. That's one thing people don't realize about competitive teams. Like competitive teams fight. They
Right.
fight because everybody want to win. Everybody believes they should be the one. Um, but when you get everybody to realize that we can all be good together, you can get some magic. And we got that magic. And so I will say that I feel like I was in a place where I was valued, um, where it was never acceptable to not be my best.
Right.
Um, I wasn't allowed not to be my best. And if it looked like I was getting off track, somebody was like, come over here. You ain't supposed to be over there. Get over here.
Right.
That I had people like that in my life that helped me to understand to what I would say is where I belong in this world. And I've always belonged in front.
Mm-hmm.
My classmates voted me homecoming queen.
Hmm.
I was their queen. Like I was the people's choice. Like,
Right.
like you don't get voted queen if people don't respect you or like you. And I will say that my class made me their queen. And when we go back every year, we have our reunion. They be like, all right, you brought the crowd. I have to sit on the front of the floor. And it's like, I be like, y'all, but that was like 30 years ago. Like, we done graduated. They be like, no, you the queen, you the queen. And so I had my little sash on, even 30 years later, my hat. And what they essentially said was, we believe in you, KiKi, and we know you're going to be somebody, and we're going to lead. And those kinds of things, like, help as I've continued to grow. Like, I always been in front, and I always been a star. Everybody may not have known that now, but that's who I am. And I am extremely grateful for the village, for my teammates, for my parents, and all the people who said, we are somebody. Believe in who you are, and who you are is enough.
Right.
Being from Minden was enough. Being goofy and just as silly as ever, that's who I am. That's who I've always been. Me being that person was good enough to lead conferences. Like, really? Like, the person who loved to dance every time the music come on? I am extremely grateful for my hometown and the upbringing and the support that I've had. I wouldn't be the leader I am without them.
Right. So sometimes we need to have that. I guess I grew up and look my I don't know if I'm thinking about it because my 30th class reunion is coming up in like 3 years,
Uh-oh.
and and I really do. It's like, do I really want to think about it? Like, do I really want to think about it? And my mom, she was like, she's like, son, it ain't uh what you did in high school. It's just the relationships that you fostered while you was there. And I ain't gonna. I tell people, I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't the greatest kid when I was at Cedar Hill because at the time it was a culture shock to me.
Understood.
I'm coming from majority Black Hispanic
Oh,
DISD, and I'm going all the way into Cedar Hill,
yeah,
and it was like a big culture shock. And so it was easy for me, when I graduated high school, it was easy for me to make the decision to go to Jackson State. Even though my
understood.
aunt wants me to go, she wanted me to go to Prairie View.
Oh,
She wanted me to go to Prairie View, and I'm like, I gotta go somewhere where they win. I cannot go
yeah.
to a school where they have not won in like 7.5 years.
Ooh,
I love you, but I can't do it. but
shots fired.
but she already know that. She knew that she
That
knew
was a
my
tough time in Prairie View history, man. Whoo.
she wanted me
They
to
had
go
the
somewhere.
longest losing streak.
Street. She wanted
Ooh,
me to go somewhere where I would sail and just have fun and be a student and be just a regular kid. Um, but we don't, what we talking about now, we don't even have that no more with this, with this generation. Like it's so
yeah,
crazy because I'm a mix of a city kid and a country boy.
understood.
My dad is from Kilgore.
Oh,
God rest his
Kilgore,
soul.
yeah.
My dad is from Kilgore. He's buried in Kilgore. God rest his soul. And my mom is from South Dallas. So it
Ooh,
is all intertwined. And
yeah,
then
you got it. Yeah.
and I come from Oak Cliff, so it's I didn't get it easy,
Ooh,
but growing, like I tell people, I tell my nieces and nephews, like growing up on our block, we had everybody. We knew everybody on our block. Even a dope dealer that stayed like 3 houses down on our block, and he'd be like, "Look, don't do what I do, and here,
yeah.
don't do what I do. Go to school. He'll give us like $10, $20. Go to school, get your education, because we
Yeah.
was friends with his son, and
Yes.
it was like, just don't do what I do. And if you try to do what I do, don't get me wrong, we're gonna put you in your place. And it
Yep.
was one of the things like if you got out of line, uh, the neighborhood had free reigns on you.
Ooh, the village raised you. Come on, village.
The village raised me.
That's
The
right.
village raised me. So if I got in trouble, oh, you stay right here. We gonna reprimand you, and then you gonna get another one. When I stay with my mom, my grandmother, and my great grandmother at the time too. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, we don't do that. We
Yeah.
stopped doing that
And
now.
I will listen, I'm gonna say we suffering because we don't have that no more too.
Right. And so it was one of the things. I'm like, we kind of need that back in our in our community right now. So
Yep.
um, it's just that most kids think they know everything, and I'll be like, hey, until you get out into this world right now,
You
you
don't
really
know
don't
nothing.
know nothing.
No. But you know what? You know what? I think that's our fault. I think it's our fault as adults. And one of the things that I've, I have tried to work on, having the opportunity to work in college where you're working with students in the transition in that formative part of their life has really shown me a lot of things. And I will say that I was least successful in my earlier years of coaching when I thought it was my job to tell them what to do. And what do I mean by that? So I would often think back to, like, what was I thinking about when I was 18 years old? And like there's this thing about forming, like, how did I become uh, an individual who was responsible?
Right.
And I remember thinking at 18 years old, I remember just looking at grown people like, I'm not dumb. I'm not stupid. Can you just,
Right.
and I wanted to be trusted, and I wanted to be free. Like, I wanted to be let alone so I could make the decision, right? That's that's what we're doing. We come into the world with babies, and first it's like we want to hang on to mama and daddy, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I see something over there, and then we start learning how to walk, and we're spending all our time trying to get away because now we want to decide our path. And I started to take a different approach with young people. And I was like, it's not my job to make decisions for them.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have seen is, for my generation of parents, like us feeling this need, we're going to make all the decisions for our kids. And they can't think and
For
make
themselves.
decisions for themselves.
Right.
And I was like, well, if we approached parenting like you approach coaching, because think about it, the coach, and this is, I make jokes about this. I told them that I learned about taking risks. That was
Mm-hmm.
sometimes coach be yelling a play on the side, and I'll be looking at coach like, yeah, but you ain't on the floor. Like, I need to take this shot, coach, because there's something I see that you don't see. And I get that you see what you see. And there will be these times in the game where I just be like, well, I'm just going to have to go for what I know. And then coach just have to deal with it on the back end, right?
Right.
But I learned how to take these calculated risks, right? Based on how I was able to analyze a situation, right? That's basically what you want your child to be able to do when they leave you. You want them to be able, I know, oh, Edwin, I know. Yeah, they just all over the place. Kids can't make no decisions, like they imbeciles or something. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember thinking, like, this is when I started taking risk on the court, was where it was for me. The ball was in my hand. Ball wasn't
Right.
in coach's hand. All coaches over there doing it, yelling, 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 yelling. And I'm like, there were times where I needed to hear what coach said, and then there was times that I didn't need to hear what coach said, because coach is not on, doesn't have my vantage point.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question always was, when do I want to decide I'm going to go with what I want versus when I need to go with what coach say? And so
Right.
learning those nuances was how I learned that as a coach, and learn how to be able to make tough decisions that I could stand on. Even I knew that when I decided I was going to go in a different direction, I knew there were two things could happen. I could make it happen and coach was going to clap for me, or I could mess it up royally. And guess what that means? That was going to be consequences. I probably was going
Right.
to go have to sit beside him and hear him wear me out because I ain't do what he said do. But I
Right.
also was fully aware when I decided to make a decision that that would be a part of it, and that I would have to own it if it didn't go well. That
Mm-hmm.
is what we want from young people. But when we decide that we're going to make the decision on what happens, on everything, you take any accountability away from them. That's on us. So, as a person now that was tasked with working at a college and helping young people transition, all of my conversations with them were about, well, tell me what you want to do.
Right.
And let's talk about how we can make that happen. Let's talk about what good could happen and what bad could happen. I'm going to give you information. You make the call. And
Right.
then after you make that call, see that through, and then you come back and we're going to talk about, was that a good call or was that not a bad call? What did you learn from that? And how are we
Mm-hmm.
going to do better? And this is what I have spent my life now doing with young people. I just want to know what you want to do. I'm not here to tell you what to do. If you want to know my perspective, I will share it. Only if you want to know, though.
Right.
If you think you got it, that's fine. Go with what you have and come back to me. And so what wound up happening is, it's like, Well, I can talk to her because she listens to me. She ain't
Mm-hmm.
trying to dictate everything in my life. And at what point did we believe that it wasn't important for us to hear from the young people? Our job is to teach them how to think, not what to think.
Right.
And so as I was thinking, I was like, well, I always was empowered. I always was making decisions I wanted to make. And I was always willing to accept whatever consequence went with it if it didn't go well. I was okay with that
Mm-hmm.
because it was my decision. It wasn't
Exactly.
somebody else telling me what, and now I'm dealing with it because somebody else has said something. And I always fought for that as a young person. And I said, well, how is it fair for us now to be in charge and to take that choice away from them?
Right.
And I don't know how we get, I don't, it really requires us to not think we have to control everything. And I don't know how you get people to understand that now you're in charge. You think you control people. Like the best control is when you can get people to control themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that requires conversation and listening and getting them to explain to you logic. It's like you remember, well, for us old school, y'all remember when you had to do math problems and you had to show all your work? You
Yep.
couldn't just put an answer up there.
Could put an answer up there. You had to do everything that
Right.
show me
The reason
show
you,
me where you got why you got to this point right here.
yes, because what the teacher needed to know is that you knew how to solve the problem. It wasn't as important that you got the right teacher, but that you knew the steps that were needed to get you to a right answer.
Right.
And if you could do that, then you could pass a standardized test because you don't know what the answer is going to be, but you got to understand the logic behind solving a problem. And if you
Mm-hmm.
understand the steps that are required, then you're going to pass. You're more likely going to have a chance at passing critical thinking is what they call it and reasoning than you will if you just giving me answers. How I know you ain't looked at somebody else's paper.
Right. And I think right now too, when it comes down to it with education, kids don't think they don't teach critical thinking. And it's not even about teaching
Oh,
critical thinking. It's basically formulating your own opinion. Even like I so when I was in school, I was a history I started off as a broadcast major, mass
uh-huh.
communications, and then I switched over to history. And so one of the things about history is you can actually formulate your own opinion because this has already happened.
Yeah.
We know what happened, but give me your opinion why you think it happened this way, and what would you think would be in the solution for what had happened before? That's when it comes down to critical thinking, especially when it comes to history.
Correct.
I'm like, look,
Correct.
if you ain't putting your like, most kids don't want to read. They don't want to read. They don't even like reading a history book. Like, but I was the type. Look, when I grew up, my great grandma had this. She had this bookshelf between the dining room and the kitchen. It's sitting right here. And on the bookshelf, she had numbers. She had like a whole bunch of books, but she had the encyclopedias at the bottom. Me being me, I go to the encyclopedias and I just read everything. I just look and read everything because I feel like once I start reading it and I look at it, uh, I became more knowledgeable about a lot of things that I didn't understand. And so
Understood.
when it came down to history, it's like I know what they're talking about, but I want to know why did it happen, but I want to
Yep.
know it from my own point of view, my perspective. Why did it happen this way? We all know
Yep.
World War One, World War Two happened. We all know the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and all this other stuff happened this way. But why
But
did you think it did it? It was like this,
yeah.
and just
Yep.
formulate your own opinion. Sometimes
Yep.
we don't even do that now.
Well, they not allowed to. Everybody trying to tell them what they supposed to think.
Hmm.
So I just think it's and honestly that starts at home. So if you're in a home where you're not valued, I will, our kids, I remember by the time my kids were 15, they could have been in college. Cause I remember thinking like they reason better than some kids sometimes that I had opportunity. I was like, I'd be sitting up thinking like, how did you come to that conclusion? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
really be, and we'd be walking through it in my brain. I was like, my kids wouldn't do this. But that's because they've had more opportunities to make decisions
Right.
and to talk like we talked through. Tell me why, well, why do you want to do that? And then they'd have to tell me why. Okay. And then sometimes we share, well, and I'll give you a perfect example. So I remember my daughter was real mad. She is on dance team. She got put to the back of the line. So it's bad when you get put to the back of the line.
Yeah.
And she was really upset. She claimed that her coach was being mistreating her. I was like, okay, why don't you go talk to her about that? That was our response. Like, well, why don't you go figure out what you need to do to get back in the front line and let us know how that go?
Cause back
So
then, we tell our parents let me get up to this
teacher
school.
tripping,
Teacher
coach
tripping.
tripping.
Oh, they
Like,
tripping?
nah.
Mama come up in there with their jacket on, be looking like this, and be like, "What is you doing with my child?"
And we wasn't doing that. I was like, well, you got a problem with her. Why don't you go talk to her about that? You know. And guess what? Because we gave her options. You can go talk to your teacher. You could quit. You figure out what do you want.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want to quit. She really just wanted to be back up in the front, but there were some things that she had to do to get back up in the front. And when she had that conversation, guess what? She figured out what she needed to do. She did what needed to be done. And guess what? She eventually got back up in the front.
Right.
But it was just this conversation about like you have to decide what you want.
Right.
And it's for you to make that decision. Just at 15. I mean, if the lady ain't hit you or something crazy, I mean, that was different if like she's being abused. But I mean, it was really a coach's decision. She wasn't performing at the level that the coach thought she should be. She was talented, and she was dealing with her. And I was like, well, you need to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
And she did, and she was better for it. And from that point on, like she could advocate for herself. If something wasn't right, then she could go have a conversation with her professors at school. She attended Dillard with us. Like I never talked to nobody at Dillard about her. Some people didn't even realize she was our child. Like we didn't have to do that. She could advocate for herself.
Yeah.
And so some of that was home training. So it's a combination. You hope that they'll have a home where they can be valued and where they're talking about what they're talking about and really us not being judgmental about what they say and why they like what they like. I mean, our favorite arguments are always about music because, this new stuff just is different. I be looking at them, huh? Yeah, y'all like that stuff? Why? So now I'm asking the question, why? I want to know why.
Yeah, my oldest daughter, she's 22, and she like that. You listened to this when you was young. I was pointing out NWA, and I'm like, yeah.
Ooh.
I was like, well, at the time, I lived in Oakland, California when I was younger, so I
Ooh.
experienced I
You was
experienced
right there in the space.
yeah from 87 to 91. I lived in Oakland,
Oh,
so
really? Man,
so
you had
we
DJ Quick. You had everybody.
Too Short, yeah. Then when it came
Too
to
short.
sports, seeing Jason Kidd and Gary
Yo.
Payton, all of those guys right there. So it was
Ooh.
like because at that time I was telling her at that time that was what was in, and it was more empowering. Yeah, I knew it had vulgar language on it. My mama wouldn't even give it to me. If she wouldn't approve of it unless she would not give it to me unless she approved of it. And she listened to
Yeah.
it first and be like, I think my son would be able to listen to this, but I know he ain't going to become this person like her.
Yeah.
But it's more teacher. Not saying
Yep.
give me you to teach me, but it's a part of the teacher moment for me.
Yeah.
And that was right, moving to Oakland, that was right after this was my childhood, living in Bastrop, Louisiana.
You lived in Bastrop? Wow. You've
For
been
like
everywhere, man.
7 months.
Oh.
It was a short stay, and
Ooh.
because it was a
Man, I
short
know
stay,
that was a culture shock.
it was going from Dallas, Texas to Bastrop, Louisiana. So I'm city boy going into the country and then going
Country.
country, then going cross country all the way to California, where they look at you like they say you're country, you look country, you sound country, but I'm still a
Gangs
citizen.
was hot too. Ooh. Crips
Yeah,
and Blood was on 100 at that time. Ooh, it was bad,
yeah,
bad then.
yeah. So it was one of them.
Ooh.
It was a culture. It was like all the culture shock to me. So my daughter, she asked me about that, and I just told her like, this is what I used to listen to. NWA,
All that.
actually beating E40 for the first time, and I didn't
Wow.
know who he was at the time until I seen his music come out. Um, and then coming back to Dallas and listening to different things because I'm like, look, I didn't listen to no like that was the only West Coast music I listened to was NWA. I didn't,
Yep.
or DJ Quick or something like that. But
Yeah.
like my whole worldview, I'll just tell her like, she's like, so how did you listen to East Coast and West Coast? I said, well, when I got back to Dallas, um, since being here in Texas and it's the home of screw music, listen to DJ
Yep.
Screw. And if it wasn't on the screw tape, I ain't listened to it. So I wasn't listening to it. And so she was like, what is the screw tape? So I gave her, I
Let
let
me
her
let,
listen
let me
to
help you out
one.
right quick.
I let her listen to one, and she's like, I don't think that. I don't think I can do that. I can't listen to that. Well, you have to be sometimes you have to be in another state of mind in order for you to listen to it. So I don't, I talked to my oldest daughter about that, and then my youngest daughter, she's 9, and she's like, she don't care about none of that stuff.
None of
She
it.
she don't care about none of that stuff. She care about arts and crafts and making TikTok videos and
Oh, you
all this
gotta
other
love
stuff.
it.
I was like, and she does modeling. She's doing a modeling
Okay.
class and
Very
cheerleading
good.
and yeah. So she's into it. We try to put her into everything. My ex-wife, she try to put her into everything. Try to keep her busy. I'm like, yeah, keep her busy. So that way, when she get home, she be knocked out when she get home.
Like,
She
yeah,
ain't
go
gotta
ahead. Take it.
take a
I
shower,
love
get you
it.
something to eat, and go to sleep. I'm like, so I talked to her yesterday. She's like, Dad, we went to they went to church with my her grandmother on my ex-wife's side, and she was like, I wanted to come there, but like don't nobody want to bring me up there. And so don't even worry about it. Don't even trip because I was like, look, I helped somebody move on Saturday, and I was dog tired, so it
You
was
were tired.
I was tired. I tried to stay up and watch basketball, and I was on my
Couldn't
couch.
do it up.
I was like this sleep. But those are my two girls right there. I love them to death, and
Good stuff.
yeah. So, guess we can try to end this thing, but let people know. I'm gonna give you the spotlight. I'm about to give you the spotlight now, and now let
Uh-oh.
people know what is in store for the GCAC and the new rebranded to HBCU AC.
Hey everybody, we are so excited to finish off this final year as the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. We'll be transitioning to the HBCU Athletic Conference on July 1. We'll be launching a new website. Everything. It's going to be amazing, and we're working on some other brand partnerships that are forthcoming that we look forward to announcing. A redesign of all of our awards, everything. It's going to be amazing. We hope that you will support us. You will support our institutions as we take this next needed step in our conference's history. We're really proud to be the NAIA's only HBCU conference. To keep up with us right now, you can go to www.gcaconf.com. That's where you can keep up with everything. And you can follow us at GCAC Sports on all platforms for now. That's where you can get the alerts when we start making the transition over and you can keep up with us. Thank you so much to HBCU Overdrive for having us. And we are proud to be a part of the family.
As y'all see, as y'all see, I'm a part of the GCAC family.
Welcome, welcome. Yes.
This is one of the things I actually wanted to do. for so long, and it was one of my therapeutic sessions as far as doing a podcast. I'm like dealing with depression. It's like I need something that could get my mind off of it, and this is one of the
Yes.
things I did. I was supposed to launch it in 2021, but I had cold feet. I ain't gonna lie to nobody. I had cold feet, and then I brought it in 22 May of 22. So we've been going strong for almost 2 years now.
Congratulations. That
Thank
deserves
you.
applause.
That does deserve an applause.
Yes.
So we've been going strong, and like my one of my main focuses was to put my platform and tie it into a conference, and hopefully you will uh, welcome me into, and we could talk about more about that. I want to say at a later time because I know baseball is coming up, right? Track and field and baseball.
Track and field is in 2 weeks, and then baseball.
So I got to get myself. I got to get myself straight because I want to cover it. I want to broadcast it. I want to do everything to put y'all out there. And of course, it's just to put me out there, but I want to do everything to
Absolutely.
the conference out there. So
we appreciate you. I have Danny follow up with you.
All right, thank you. You have a good one, and
thank y'all.
Don't get tricked on April Fool's Day today.
Oh gosh, I hope that ain't nobody got me yet, but that's because I ain't been playing. I'm praying that I can make it past the April 1st, April Fool's foolishness.
Oh yeah.
All right.
You have a good one, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are back. Whew, that was a good conversation, y'all. Hey, y'all, wasn't that a good conversation? So we have 54 people following us, watching between YouTube and Twitter. Make sure that you, like I said, make sure that you like the stream. Make sure that you comment and you share it with everybody. And most of all, subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you become an exclusive member of the family. We are back down to one tier, and that is at $4.99. I want to make it, affordable for everybody that wants to be a exclusive family member. And also, we are doing the drive to. We're gonna start doing the drive to Birmingham for the SWAC Media Day. So that is gonna start this month. So any donation to the platform is much, will be well reciprocated and much needed. You can also if you need to, you can email me at hbcuoverdrive@gmail.com. I do answer every email if people want to email me. And also for my brand sponsor, Merch Sports, go to www.shopmerchsports.com. Merch Sports, where where it all begins. But do a one more commercial break, and then we up out of here. And I'll let everybody know what's going on for the next show.
It's your boy Doc Holiday. Become a subscriber on HBCU Overdrive on YouTube, and you can follow me on all social media platforms at HBCU_Overdrive on Twitter and Instagram. You can catch me on TikTok at Holiday1925 and on Facebook under my real name, David E. Smith Douglas. Also, when you become an exclusive family member, you get all the membership perks. You get all the exclusive members only videos, early access to new videos, member shoutouts, and members only live chats. And also, you can get birthday shoutouts on here and win member when you become a subscriber. You can also hit the donation to the Cash App at HBCU Overdrive. You can hit the PayPal, David Smith 1925, and you can hit the Zelle, David E. Smith 30 at gmail.com. Remember, all proceeds go towards the channel, not the pocket. Yo, it's your boy Doc Holiday with HBCU Overdrive. And I am proud to sponsor Merch Sports. Check out his new line of collection, the Black College Football Fan Club collection. It's basically designed to show support and give respect to the rich history and tradition of black college football. And as you already know, the best college players had to play at HBCUs before integration. So go ahead and check it out over at shopmerchsports.com. Merch Sports. Merch for the sports enthusiasts.
All right, we back. So for tomorrow, we got a show. We're gonna do a show tomorrow at the same time, 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, noon Eastern Standard Time, and 9 a.m. on the Pacific. But we're gonna talk about why is it that everybody wants to talk about Coach Reed, where she's gonna go. She needs to lead Jackson State. So we want to get into this conversation about why people think that they come with the narrative why we still HBCU steal money, and we need to quell and dispel that rumor quick, fast, in a hurry, because it gets on my nerves. I get I don't tolerate the foolishness and tolerate the bull crap. So that will be for our topic tomorrow. And like I said, that show will be at 11 a.m. So we're going to start doing a little bit more midday shows before I head off to work to my regular job. And also on gonna do a little bit of something different too. So starting on probably starting this weekend, we're gonna do HBCU after dark. I don't know how many people will stay up for it, but we're gonna start something like that. If y'all think that's a good idea right there, give me a thumbs up in the chat, or hit me up on Twitter. DM me on Twitter if you think that's a good idea. But other than that, y'all, be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Be ready for this conversation, because we're gonna go into deep conversation about this. But like I said, this is HBCU Tonight. Again, also it's been powered by HBCU Overdrive Media Team. Make sure, like I said, like the stream, comment, no matter how many comments you get, comment on it. Share it with everybody that you know, and most of all, subscribe to the channel. And then always, if you need to hit up the donation button, and we all know it's rent time, but a couple of dollars here and there does go a long way. You can hit the PayPal at David Smith 1925. You can hit Cash App HBCU Overdrive, and you can hit the Zelle David E. Smith 30 at gmail.com. All proceeds go towards the channel, not towards the pocket. We're going to keep it funky, and we're going to keep it live. But as always, y'all be blessed. Y'all stay safe. Hug your loved ones, and man, stay dangerous. We'll be back on this thing again tomorrow, 11 a.m. Peace.